What's going on, everybody? Baird here with Spec of Tech. Welcome to the channel. Today's video is a video that I've been kind of dreading to make. I didn't really want to make this video. It's not that it's sad or anything, but I did work really hard to work my way up to the speaker setup that I have. But I guess to get right to the point, I am going to be selling the legacy speakers that I have. And whenever I do decide to sell a set of speakers, I always get a ton of questions as to why I sold them. Did I not like the sound? Did I not like this? What didn't I like about them? So I figured I would just make this video and let you guys know why I'm selling these speakers, so that when I do get the question, I can just direct you guys to the video and say, here, this is going to answer all of your questions as to why I sold those speakers. So for those of you that follow the channel, you know that I have a full 7-speaker setup from Legacy. So I have the Aeries for my left and right channel, the Marquis center, and I also have the Studio HDs for my rear surrounds, and then for my side surrounds, I have the Pixel on-wall speakers. So before I tell you guys why I'm selling the speakers, let me tell you that it has nothing to do with the sound or the build quality of these speakers. The build quality is fantastic. The finish on them is beautiful, especially the Aeries. In my opinion, they're one of the best looking speakers on the market, and I truly do mean that. And the sound quality of these speakers is also exceptional. They work really well for home theater, but even better for music. The sound staging is amazing. If you guys want to watch the review I made on these speakers, I'll link that in the top right hand corner. But I had nothing but good things to say about the sound, and that still remains true. That hasn't changed. And the best thing about the Aeries speakers is if you don't like the sound, they come with that wave launch processor. So if there is a certain aspect about the sound that you're not fond of, whether it be the treble, the mid-range, or the lows, you can adjust that with the wave launch processor. So these speakers are truly versatile. So they're kind of a speaker that would be future-proof because you can just grow with them. So if your style of sound changes, if you do want to change the sound of the speaker, you can do that with the wave launch processor and the DSP built in. So the reason that I'm selling these speakers has nothing to do with the sound quality. I still love the way they sound, and like I said, they're versatile. I could change that sound if I wanted to, and it has nothing to do with the build quality. I still love the way they look. Like I said, they're one of the best looking speakers on the market. The reason that I'm selling them is pretty much comes down to two major reasons, and they're both financial. So I placed the order for these speakers in September of 2023, and there's going to be about a 4-month turnaround time for these speakers. For those of you that don't know, my job requires me to work out of town all the time, so I basically fly to work, I do my rotation, and then I fly home, and I'm on a 2-week on, 2-week off type of rotation. So at Christmas time, I was actually just waiting for the plane to fly home for my 2 weeks off, which was going to be at Christmas of 2023. And I found out from my company that due to contract negotiations, which I have no control over, they're the ones that negotiate the contract with the oil company that I'm contracted to, and there was going to be a pay cut, and a pretty significant one for my position. Not just my position, but I have a cross shift that's in the same position, so both of us were going to be experiencing a significant pay cut. So it was kind of a kick to the groin to find out right around Christmas time that we're going to be getting this significant pay cut, and it is going to make a difference on a month-to-month basis. I'm going to refrain from giving out numbers, but it is going to be significant, and I am going to feel it on a month-to-month basis, so I'm going to have to change my budget a little bit. But I had already ordered the speakers, and like I said, I had saved and I had sold gear to pay for these speakers, so they are bought and paid for. It's not like they're on debt. I didn't loan any money. They're not on a credit card or anything. They are bought and paid for. So when I did find out about that pay cut, yes, it did affect me, and it kind of sucked that I had just spent so much money on these speakers and then finding out I'm getting pay cut, but they were bought and paid for, so I kind of left it at that. And although had I known about the pay cut before ordering these speakers, I probably would have made a different decision, just simply because of the amount of money that I'm going to be losing every month. But they had already been ordered, they are bought and paid for, so I was going to continue with the order. So then the speakers came in, I believe it was the end of February this year that I got them, and I love the speakers, I love the look, I love the sound, so I was glad that I went through with the order, even though I experienced that pay cut. But for those of you that are aware with the Canadian economy, our interest rates have been quite high for quite some time. I believe some of it had to do with COVID and our government. I'm not going to get into the politics of all that, but the interest rates are high, and it just so happened that we had to re-sign our mortgage in April of this year. So when we went in to go sign our mortgage, obviously the mortgage rates are higher, interest rates are higher, so my mortgage payments are going up and my wage is going down. As a matter of fact, my mortgage rates are going up about the same amount as my wage is going down. So it's kind of like a double whammy. It doubled the amount of money that I was losing technically. So those are the two reasons that I decided to sell these speakers. I was willing to cope with the pay cut and deal with it. Like I said, the speakers were bought and paid for, but then with the added cost of my mortgage going up the same amount that my wage was going down. It just didn't make sense for me to keep such expensive speakers in my home. It makes more sense for me to sell them and apply that money elsewhere because of the financial surprises that I got in the span of a few months or 4 months. It just makes more sense for me to apply that elsewhere. So I will be selling the entire Legacy 7-speaker setup. I'll be putting them up shortly online, but I wanted to make this video first because as soon as I sell them, I know I'm going to get bombarded with questions and messages as to why I'm selling them, what I don't like about them. So I wanted to clear the air in this video first so that I can say, hey, just go watch the video. This is why I'm selling them. It has nothing to do with me not liking them. It has nothing to do with the quality of the speaker, the sound of the speaker, nothing like that. It is purely financial, and now you guys know the financial reasons. So I know the next question is going to be, what am I going to get instead of these speakers? So clearly, the financial aspect is going to be priority number one. So I do want to get something that is less expensive so that I can pocket some money and apply that elsewhere. So right now, I don't know exactly what I'm going to get. I've considered the SVS Evolution speakers, but they're not entirely neutral, and I still want to get a neutral speaker that I would consider a reference so that I can compare other speakers to that. So my own private system, I want it to be as neutral as possible so that when I'm listening to other equipment, I can pick out the differences in their sound, subjectively, of course. But if it does have boosted treble, it's going to be easier for me to notice that if my system is neutral. Same thing with boosted bass or a sucked out mid-range or whatever. It's just going to help me to determine those things if I have a neutral system. So the SVS Evolution speakers aren't exactly neutral, so that's not really going to help me in that aspect. Although I did like the sound of them. I've heard the bookshelves, and I did go to Radio Crafts here in Calgary, and I heard the Pinnacle Towers as well. I did like the sound of the speakers. I personally do like a little bit more of a lively speaker as a personal preference. I do like a little bit of boosted bass, and I don't mind if the treble is bumped just a little bit as long as it's not harsh. But that's not going to help me with my reviews, and that's my ultimate goal here, is to get a neutral system. So I've also considered getting the KEF R-Series speakers, so the R11 towers, and then possibly an R7 for a center, or maybe just their center speaker, and then a full KEF setup or 7-speaker setup, because they are very neutral. The one downside to the KEF, in my opinion, or the one thing that's kind of holding me back, is that they don't go very low as far as the bass range goes for the R11s. I know that their bass is quite clean, it's quite tight, but they don't go very low, so that's kind of holding me back, although I am going to be using subwoofers, of course. When I'm comparing speakers, I do want them to go as low as possible. That's why I went with the Legacy Aeris, because they're a full range speaker. So I don't need subwoofers to augment the bass for them when I'm comparing other speakers. I have a neutral speaker that goes pretty much from 20 hertz to, well, above 20 kilohertz, but a full range speaker. The KEFs aren't that. They don't go quite as low as I would like. Is that going to stop me from buying them? Maybe not. I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of just biding my time. My speakers haven't sold yet anyway, so there's no rush, but that's what I'm looking at currently. So to put it simply, or answer the question simply, is I'm looking for a neutral speaker. Right now, the KEF R-Series is kind of at the top of a very short list that I haven't even created yet, because I haven't even sold these speakers or haven't even put them up for sale. So there's no rush at this time, but that's what I'm looking at. Looking to get a reference system that's still neutral, that's going to be significantly less expensive than what I can sell the Aeries or the Legacy speakers for, so that I can pocket some of that money. But I still, in the end, want to have a neutral reference system. So that, I hope, answers the questions for all of you out there. I love the Legacy speakers. I truly do. The sound is fantastic. It's probably, I shouldn't even say probably, it is the best sounding setup that I've ever had in my space. Home theater is so crystal clear and clean. Music is so crystal clear and clean, and just full range. The detail on these speakers is just truly exceptional. Legacy has done a fantastic job. I hope this video answers all of your questions as to why I'm selling these speakers. So when I do get the messages and I do get the questions, I can just direct you guys to this video, and it is going to answer exactly why I'm selling them. That is 100% why I'm selling them. It is purely financial. I do wish I could keep them, and technically I guess I could, but it just doesn't make sense for me to do so, given the financial surprises that I just had over Christmas and in April. It just doesn't really make sense for me. So I'm choosing to sell them because it makes more sense. So there you have it. That is why I'm selling the Legacy speakers. I guess stay tuned on the channel to see what I'm going to get to replace them with. But as always, guys, please consider subscribing to the channel. Tick the bell icon if you do. Please take just one short second to hit that like button. I always do appreciate it. Remember to enjoy your systems, even if you're in the middle of selling them. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.